Hello everyone, GoldenHawk here on the first day of the Netters, what was called, not in ancient times, but in dynastic times, the Days of the Gods. The first piece that I'm going to go over with everyone here is the fact of the cataclysm and humanity being taken underground. When they started coming back up, they noticed that the stars were not in the correct position in the sky. And the Shem Suhor, the ancient teachers, of course, sent people out to different areas, and they had to remap and found that they were the 23.5 degrees off, and that we had an extra 5.25 days. The purpose of the pyramids during what we would call the Golden Age, pre-cataclysm, had to do with magnetic structures to the other dimensions and stargates. They had lost it, the connection, through particular energetic connections that they were able to make during those times. A group that they had sent out into the other dimensions were brought back in. This was timed very carefully, and it was done just after the halcyon days of Sekhmet, and working the outer wheel of astrology. We come in this way, and the inner wheel we go out this way, and you find these 5 days at the end of Cancer and the beginning of Leo. The calendrical piece from the earth has Asaru, or Osiris, the Lord Sai from 8D, the once and future king, returning on the 20th of July in order to bring the energy constructs of the divine connection with the higher realms back, and to basically transfix the calendars. Egypt had a series of 6 different calendars and several different levels of mathematics that they were working. The children of Ma'at, had been sent to another area on the earth where they knew they would be protected. And these are the Mayans, the keepers of the Mayan calendar, Tzolk'in, which in Egypt was called Ma'a, the Great Helix. But Asaru, the Lord of the Great and Shining Waters. Hi, everyone. Was brought back first. And he was the Shining One. And as I started working through this stuff, and I actually became a priestess of Isis, and it was Isis then, when I was about 11 years old, and I started working from that point, strip the myth, strip the myth, strip my myth, free me, free me. Hers, Osiris's, all of them, which I've actually done, having to walk this myth. And the power, the function of Asar is the connection into 8D and our connection into the records during the galactic night, which is why Anpu, or Anubis, is one of his sons, the first son born here. And Asar moves mythically through every element of death, violent deaths, the myths that were given to the people, and the actuality of what they were for within the temple being very, very different things. And then the myths being twisted when the external gods in a pantheon came in, changed this. But Asaru, Asar, his function is that of the blood as well as the consciousness. And his stone is Malachite. And I have Malachite in a few different forms here. I work with them with the different patterns and forms. I have some real big ones too for actually doing the resurrections. This is a raw piece, and this one is to go into records, which is why it's a hole in it. It's a holy stone. And my first piece of Malachite was a natural eye. It was possibly not natural. I was told it had been found in the river in Egypt and that someone had been making an amulet and dropped it in a long time ago. I passed that to another shaman when she came into that part of the journey. We do that. We pass our codes, we pass our information fields. This one's a favorite. Form does have a bit to do with function, and patterning tells us a great deal. Hi, Bonnie. Hello, everyone. But my work with Malachite has expanded over a multitude of decades. I started learning stone pieces when I was 4 because my grandmother was like so into stones, and I followed right along with her. But I have one of my favorite books for stones, Love is in the Earth by Melody, and I was able to actually work with Melody at one of the Body, Mind, Spirits. I actually worked on her, which was like actually really a funny thing because I didn't know who she was when I did. And then I went, oh my God, yeah, you're my go-to. What am I doing? But there are several other really good books, and I have a huge library that I still use of about probably 15 or 20 of them are on stones. Some of them are really old, older than my grandma. But real basic. This book tells you how to, and no pictures. This isn't a picture book. She has a completely different book for pictures. Ooh, it was really expensive. I don't know what it is now with being able to get stuff on, being able to download it on tablets and not having to have it be actually on paper and ink, because ink's more expensive by weight than gold. So I'm going to give you some basics on this stone. The astrological signs are Capricorn and Scorpio, and there's a reason for that with the ancient beginning of kingship, when the gods came down and taught men to, and as a matter of fact, I still don't call them gods, they're netters, but taught men how to take care of the earth. Our Father which art the heaven, our Mother who is the earth, kingdom come. So, and that's how old that actually is too. I had it sung to me in Aramaic this last weekend, which was beautiful. But this is a stone of transformation, and it assists in change, and it provides transfer of sacred information. So when you start getting information, it helps you transfer it into areas where you can actually use it. Sometimes into your auric field, sometimes into your cellular body, sometimes into your consciousness and your mind. As it's doing this, it also awakens pieces, because this is actually the real bloodstone. And in ancient times, this was called the blood of Asar, or the blood of Osiris, and it's the stone used for creating resurrection. Resurrection is one of the healings that I do, and it's an elemental. Actually, it facilitates it, because if the person there isn't ready for it, it doesn't happen. They've got to pull it down and bring it up and bring it through, and the resurrection is very difficult, because it brings through memories of a multitude of deaths that are connected to your spirit, as well as the genetics within your family. We do carry the record in the astral that reconnects to the physical body when we die and are born again. So I use Malachite as a center heart piece, and this is one of the pieces to really clear a lot of records at once, where you're aware of what they are. It's not always great fun to be aware of what they are, and to go through and move the energy from all of these deaths at layer after layer after layer, and to actually access the silicus crystal in the blood, which is what we're doing. I got a rock on a stick. Sticks and stones can do a lot of stuff. But this stone facilitates insight, and it allows us to see into the inner world. And Asar is the ultimate judge of all things. So he is a discernment piece of that which has been brought down. In Kemet, the masculine is brought in, and the feminine is released, and which is why we see them the way that we do in the statuary. And I don't know who all's still here. Christine Knox, hello. Levi, Bonnie, Jeremy, Nikki, and am I repeating? Mary Lee, greetings. And so this is basically, I had to take a minute, I'm sorry guys, to get through this, but this is basically a place where this repetitious myth comes of twin slaying, because Osiris, Asar, is killed by his twin brother, except there are 3 twin brothers, and there's 5 Egyptian twins. And this has to do with the twinning of photons in the photon belt. And these pieces were set anciently to be awakened today, to be awakened in the photon band as we move through it, through the galactic day. And that's why you're all waking up. And Asar is the first to awaken. And he dies to each element. He dies to each function. And he awakens to it. And according to the higher inner myths, because the Book of Osiris is like 9 inches thick, and really hard to get to. By the way, I've only seen one ever, and it was thicker than it was broad. But in the higher secrets, the discernment of Asar the awakening of the blood has to do with Asaru returning 14 times, the 14 different bodies, so 14 great messengers. And with most of the keepers that I've worked with that have actually been actual real Egyptian keepers, the 14th body was Christ's, or the Christos, the promised one. And it was the body of a returner from Arcturus through Venus, and then the seed being brought in here during the last time that we had the children of the Anunnaki actually in the system. I know that the Anunnaki exist. I know the other planets there. Science knows the other planets there. They know that we're moving between, it's moving between Sirius and the Earth. So, and they're not going to make it to hold through their vibration the ascension back of Sirius and our sun and us. So we've got quite a while to do it, and quite a while for the blood codes to open up and bring us in. Tomorrow I will speak of Heru and Heru-Ur, the invisible twin between these two contesters. Asar is considered organization, and obviously must be reorganization. Heru is something else, and his birthday is tomorrow, which is why I'm starting my course. The final enrollment on the big course is tomorrow, and I've got a really powerful class coming in. It's very awesome. Just absolutely thrilled. Once this is done, we'll be bringing in and making available intro stuff, and small pieces on the way. And then more pieces coming in for those of you who've had the activations. Wait until you see the Egyptian rod work. Oh, talk about fun. So, Neferka, and find some peace today with everything you're holding inside. And remember, you are the one that has been awaited. You will free your lineage. And you will find a way to strength and personal power, which will give you a certain peace and freedom. Until tomorrow, oh yes, Miss Bonnie. Bonnie's a big pharaoh, and the Ancient Powers Pharaoh page will be opening up in a couple weeks, and you guys will all be able to talk to each other and share the stuff from the other classes. Such powerful people I have had the great honor and joy to work with and know and love. And maybe someday Bonnie will tell about going to Telos in Mount Shasta. It was an experience. Neferka.